Yeah, the start lab, in addition to the conventional, please listen to this, in addition to the conventional statistics we do, we want to kind of have bias for geospatial statistics. And we do training for capacity development, and we have a 30 membership base as at now. The department, the LISA lab is actually domiciled in the Department of Urban Regional Planning, which is another thing who possibly will catch your attention. Why not Department of Statistics? Well, in the wisdom of the management of the University of Lagos, they prefer just one LISA lab. And because we initiated it from the department, that is why we have Department of Urban, it's just domiciled there. But the structure we have is very robust, at least to make sure that everybody is involved. These are the pioneer members when we initially started. Now, let's just quickly go to the project, the sustainability project. The goal is to establish navigable pathway towards becoming a strong and sustainable engine for development in geospatial data and statistical analysis. And the strategy is to create wide publicity and awareness, and in order to be able to attract collaborators. But the way to do that is there was no fund. So what we did was to mobilize within ourselves and then reach out to some people who are willing to fund us. And using another fund from another project, we're able to get some initial takeoff grants to do some mapping data repository for University of Lagos as a pilot exercise. So, and then we were extremely fortunate about the time we were putting these things together. It was a time when we wanted to host Nunga Games. For those of us from Nigeria, you understand what I mean by Nunga. It's a university sporting event. It's a very big one. We had the 26th edition between March 16 and 27 this year, which was actually the time when we were actually carrying out this experiment. And it's just a lot of participation from people. Over 50,000 people were there live. More than 5 million people watched the thing online, through television and that. So there were about 500 officials, about 75 universities across Nigeria participated. So we felt this is a very big thing for us to be able to reach out. Now, don't forget, I told you we are the number 35. So what we need at this stage for people to know us. So in the best way, then when this is coming, we just thought, oh, this is the best, a good idea for us to reach out to people, for us and for them to know us. So we took satellite, drone image of the place. This is the sport complex. For those of you who are familiar with University of Lagos, that is the main entrance there. This is the main entrance, this is Senate building, and this is the sports complex. Our faculty is just directly opposite that sport complex. So the methodology, the strategy we used was we had discussion with the local organizing committee and the computer department. And then we had some discussion with some potential collaborators. So we took a photograph of the place, and then we did some execution, and then we did some post-event analysis, which I will take you through now. So the local organizing committee approached us that they needed the map of the the sports center. So because there was no such map before, so we needed to give them the map with all the facilities everywhere, located everywhere. But the primary assignment, what we actually wanted to do, really as an experiment wanted to do, was to prepare, we'll call it wayfinding map. This is how it works. Something like this. Wherever you are, you see, this thing is located somewhere. And then within the vicinity of where you are, you see you are here, right? So all you need to do is then look around you to be able to give yourself proper orientation of where you are within the campus. And we then inserted this the QR code here, so that it will just, if you click on it, you can scan on it with your phone or any of this digital device. Then it will take you to the, thank you. It will take you to the website that has been created by Nunga Games, which is then attached to the main university website. Now, the whole idea is anywhere you go and you click on this, we can be tracking the traffic to know when people actually need assistance to navigate within the campus. And then as you are doing that, because this is clearly written that there is a courtesy of UNILAG-LISA, it will take you to the website where all our profile and everything, that proposal we submitted then, that we presented is attached to that. So you click on it, you take it there, you can then know about the LISA lab. So that was the original idea. But later we then expanded it. And then this is when we then handed over this thing to the management team. This is the director of research and was Onubi, and this is the dean of the faculty. And then another thing we did was to make sure that we appointed every representative in each department to be representative of LISA lab in that department. So for instance, in my faculty, we have about 5 departments. So you have a representative of LISA in architecture, in building, in QS, and all that. So each of the representatives would then reach out to the department. Like someone was presenting in the morning that the grandmother approach. You catch the big one, then it's easier for you to reach out to the other one. So because there are people within each department that have flares for statistics, so you pick on them, then they reach out to the supervisor, the supervisors then reach out to the students. So that was one of the, and some of them are actually here. This is original planning, building, QS, Dean, myself, and the research and innovation director. So what we did was to hang these, several of these that we did within the school, to hang it around, just put it in strategic locations with the QR code. And so as you are scanning it, then it's just, so this is satellite image when we wanted to draw that map that I showed you initially. We used the drone to take aerial photograph of the sport complex, and then we were able to identify all the general features there. So we developed this graphical map with the QR code, as I've explained. And then we also developed, we prepared the face cap, and some of you met me at the airport, one of you. So I succeeded. Because when you saw me at the airport in Lagos, you then knew, oh, this is Lisa. Sorry. And you, yes, you saw me. I said, that was how the conversation started. And I saw you too. So that the whole essence is just for the publicity. And again, we also had this mind that we were having a clinic. Every Thursday. Unfortunately, the ASU strike would not allow us. The idea was to wear this thing, stay within the lab, and when people come around, we reach out to them when they come. We then keep using this thing to popularize the lab. Yeah, results, outcome. Feasibility, yes. So, second teaching element. This brochure, and then look at the last pages. If you look at it, this is the first one. And this one was distributed to more than 9,000 participants. And then you see, when you look at this, it meets our donors and sponsors. You'll be wondering whether Lisa was the one that actually sponsored it. Look at right. So that was really strategic. So that was all we did. And then, yeah, so what we did was to try and get spatial arrangement of the participants, the 75 universities that participated. And then I see kind of a spread about the performance of the athletes. The one with second, third, and other. So we can see, graphically see the distribution. So the other intention was to make sure that we use information and then break it down maybe by agenda, by geographical location, by the number of athletes, by the number of participants, by the number of officers, the people that a lot of parameters. But unfortunately, by the time we are coming, Nunga Games headquarters in Abuja, they have not released the final list where we have all those parameters. They released onto maybe the second to the last day. So, but it was not completed. So that was trying to not go further with the analysis, which we intend to do later. So some of these challenges, industrial action, which everybody has been discussing, I've been talking about. time constraint and funds. We have to look for money within ourselves just to make sure that, and then the issue about the ethical issue in terms of the confidentiality and the privacy. We at a point, we have to write them in Abuja that they should filter off all the necessary details, personal details from the data set so that we can then use it for the kind of analysis we want to do. Yeah, follow-ups. We still intend to continue with the post-event analysis, like I said, using all those different parameters. When we approached the Vice Chancellor about this development, the Vice Chancellor was happy with what we have done, but he then suggested that we should develop into an app that when people can install on under their phone, so that if they want to navigate within the University of Lagos, they can. So we are thinking of taking it further to that level. And then we are waiting for the results of all the back-end scanning of the barcode, where we can then see from what point, how many people are actually scanning from what point, whether those points are useful and all that. So we can do some analysis on it. Again, typical of, we had issues. The server was down for some time. They said there was a fluctuation in power, and then the team could not do the counting, but we are still having a discussion with them at the computer center for details. So in conclusion, the sustainability experiment provided acceptance, at least to a reasonable extent, recognition, visibility, and publicity for UNILAG-LISA as a one-stop shop in geospatial analysis and data analytics. And again, one of the things that people are just commenting, this has never happened before in the history of NUGA games and all that. So it kind of sent a precedence and raised the bar of hosting Nigerian university games, which was not intended anyways. It was secondary benefit. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. We'll do time for questions while we get our next speaker set up. So we're just going to use this one. We have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions or comments from the audience.
Thank you for your presentation. My question is something you mentioned initially briefly, but you couldn't dwell on it. Your laboratory for interdisciplinary statistical analysis, I want to know, do you have provision for attending to domain experts who have data they want to analyze beyond all this geospatial stuff? And when you started, I thought you want to elaborate on probably the linkage you have with mathematics or statistics department, but you couldn't dwell on that. Thank
you. Yeah, thank you for your question. Yeah, as per domain expert, I think we made it clear from the onset that what we want to is like a regional center for geospatial data analysis. We made it clear that is that bias. But that is not to say that, if I remember when I mentioned something, I said roller coaster. The meaning of that roller coaster was the back and forth between mathematics department, statistics, and our department. And in fact, to the extent that we got to the Vice Chancellor, and the Vice Chancellor made the decision that we are having just one LISA lab in the University of Lagos, that all of us will work together. So that is his station report. So then the LISA management set up kind of arrangement, a committee to make sure that happens. So, and that was until then that they were able to push it forward for 14 and other. So we are taking care of that. So in terms of the domain expert coming in, definitely the lab is there. And like I said, it's not only in the department faculty alone, now we're actually reaching to other faculties. So by that model of catching the big one and the bigger one will catch the younger one, that is a model we are trying to use, which is actually working. Right? Thank you very much.